Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining me for devotions on this Friday morning. And we are in Matthew chapter 16, continuing through this chapter. If you remember, Jesus has just been with the disciples, and he asked, "Who do people say that I am?" And they said, one of the greats, Moses, Elijah, all those. And then he looks at him and says, "But who do you say that I am?" And then Peter speaks up. "You're the Christ, the Son of the living God." That's a big deal. It's a big confession. That's big, and we talked about that yesterday. And then Peter goes from this highest of high, this great confession, to the lowest of low. Here's what happens. From then on, Jesus began to point out to his disciples that it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders, chief priests, and scribes, be killed, and raised on the third day. That amazes me, what my Lord had to go through for me. But he begins to teach this to the disciples and tell them that this is what's going to have to happen. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is how I'm going to be killed. This has got to happen. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. It gives the idea that Peter was just starting in. He's gone from the highest of high, "You're the Christ," to now, "Hey, Jesus, let me straighten you out." "Oh no, Lord, this will never happen to you." That word rebuke there means strong disapproval. Peter is strongly wording how he doesn't approve of what Jesus is saying. He's gone from saying, "You're the Messiah, the Christ," to now strongly reproving him, speaking against. So Jesus turned and told Peter. It's like Jesus kind of interrupts him. And the way it's written, it has this idea of Peter saying, let's go aside for a minute. And, Jesus starts rebuking him. And Jesus kind of puts his hand up and says, "Hey." And this is what he says. "Get behind me, Satan." Whoa, those are strong words. The word Satan there is the accuser. It's the tempter. It's like Jesus is saying, "Get behind me. You're trying to tempt me not to follow through with the whole reason that I'm here." Can you imagine God looking at you and calling you Satan? Having that spirit? "You're a hindrance to me because you're not thinking about God's concerns but humans' concerns." So Peter just kind of lays into Jesus because he doesn't agree with what he's doing. And it makes me think that, just because something is unexpected, and this was totally unexpected for Peter, but just because something's unexpected doesn't make it unacceptable. In our lives, let me make this real personal. In my life, I have faced a lot of unexpected things. Things where I have, quite frankly, gotten alone and been with the Lord, and I hate to say I rebuked the Lord, but I feel like that's what I was doing. "God, why are you letting this happen? What are you thinking?" And I don't think God has a problem with us pouring our heart out to him like that. He straightened me out. Yes, as he did Peter. But, that Peter wasn't done being used here either. After this, Peter preached at Pentecost, and all those thousands of people were saved. God used Peter greatly even after this. But just because something's unexpected doesn't mean that it's unacceptable. There's been a lot of things in my life that have been unexpected, that quite frankly I have felt like were unacceptable. But God's ways are not my ways, and his thoughts are not my thoughts. And he's the one who's in control, and he's the one who ultimately decides what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So just because Peter didn't like it, what Jesus was saying, he kind of lays into him, and Jesus puts him in his place. And the second thing I wrote down is that I should never think God should change his plans to fit my preferences. Peter's preference and the disciples, they thought, here's the Messiah. He's going to come and usher the kingdom in, and we're going to be just taking over. I mean, this is awesome. He's going to be, and they're thinking of the full kingdom. But that wasn't what Jesus came for. He came to seek and to save the lost. He came to die for us. My preferences in life, and Lord knows I've got a lot of them. Not as many as I used to, but I still have a lot of them. My preferences shouldn't change his plans, because his plans are perfect. And even when I only see the little thing right in front of me that I'm having to deal with right now, he sees the big picture. And he knows. That's why Romans 8:28 is in the Bible, that he works all things for the good of those who love him. Even when it doesn't fit my preference, I know he's doing something to work it for my good. And I've got to remember that. That can be hard sometimes because honestly, sometimes I don't like the things in life that God puts me into. I don't like the circumstances. And it's hard to deal with some circumstances. But ultimately, his way is perfect. And his plan is perfect. And if the Christian life was easy, it wouldn't be all about faith. If I could see what God was doing, it wouldn't be the faith life. It'd be the sight life, because I'd be able to see it. But it's not. He calls me to a life of faith, trusting him, even when I don't understand, and even when it doesn't make sense. So am I trusting him? Or am I trying to push my preferences on him? I want to be the former, not the latter. I want to put my faith in him, because his way is perfect, and I know that he has my best interests at heart. I hope that encourages you to do the same. Lord, help me to trust you because your way is perfect. Increase my faith today. Then when I'm walking through places that feel like the shadow of death, I don't have to fear any evil because I know you're with me. That your rod and staff are going to comfort me. That you've already prepared a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. That goodness and mercy are following me all the days of my life. You are my good Father. You're the good shepherd. And that you are working everything in my life for my own good. Even if I can't see it. Even if I don't agree with it. Even if it's unexpected. Help me to trust you as the master architect, as the potter, with me the clay in your hands. To trust you. And to keep my life surrendered to you. I love you. I ask it in your name. Amen. God bless you guys. Love you. See you tomorrow.